Thank you, Mr Principal Deputy Speaker, for the opportunity to provide members with an update on the arrangements that are being made within the Department of Agriculture, Environment and Rural Affairs. As we support the people of Northern Ireland in these challenging and worrying times, the coronavirus pandemic is one of the most significant challenges many of us have experienced in our lifetime, not only in terms of the impact on the health of our people, but also because we face unprecedented economic and societal changes and challenges. If there is one message that I want to reinforce, it is that we are all in this together, working on the basis of the most up-to-date advice from the UK Government, our medical professionals and our scientists. And if we have one lesson to learn from this, it is that working together is not an option, it's a requirement. So when we face a crisis of this scale, it reminds us of our humanity, our frailty. It reminds us of the generosity of people who sacrifice everything for their friends, for their colleagues and even for people they have never met. And we owe everything to those people and the hundreds of thousands of heroes who work tirelessly to put food on our tables, to ensure we have clean water, to manage our waste, to improve our public health. We owe it to them to plan, to deliver and to learn together. And I can reassure you that is the aim of myself and my colleagues in the Northern Ireland Executive. We may not agree on every issue, but we all need to agree to support our frontline workers. I'd like in particular to pay tribute to our farming community, who are working day and night on their dairy, beef, pig, poultry, sheep and arable farms, producing high-quality produce that ends up on our plates. They're dedicated, hard-working and resilient, and their contribution to the food chain has never been clearer. They too face the same worries and fears as the rest of us, and have adjusted how they work to keep food moving during these extremely challenging times. You have our thanks and full support. As a department, we in DAERA are committed to ensuring that every effort is made to mitigate the impacts of this pandemic. Our priorities are to keep product moving, ensuring financial support to farmers, protect the health and well-being of our staff, customers and the general public, and to ensure that our essential services are carried out safely to help everyone through this difficult time. DAERA, its agencies and non-departmental public bodies continue to work through this challenging period. We support those who provide our food, who remove our waste and who support our rural communities. We are refining our emergency response plans and building resilience both during the crisis and for the aftermath of the pandemic as we navigate our way through a very different world. Despite all the challenges, we have provided this support in real time and in real collaboration with our stakeholders. For example, we have been teleconferencing with colleagues across industry 2 or 3 times a week since the beginning of this crisis, and now meet with local government colleagues twice a week. I've also attended regular emergency planning meetings of the UK Government and have been in regular communication with other environment and agriculture ministers across the United Kingdom and in the Republic of Ireland. In particular, I've had several constructive conversations with the UK Secretary of State for DEFRA. We have always worked in an agile way, with more than 3,000 people located across 70 sites. At the end of 2019, we made some 1,500 video conferencing calls, saving expenses and carbon. But we've taken that to a new level in this pandemic as we continue to find new and pragmatic ways of working and change how we interact with the public. Our priority is the safety of the people who work for the department, who work alongside the department and who rely on the work of the department. In so doing, we have had an opportunity to try out new technologies. We've learned a lot about how people can organise themselves rapidly using these technologies. And for the future, we will use these agile approaches to provide new and better services. At this point, I want to take this opportunity to thank all the DAERA staff for their efforts in this challenging time, commend them on their hard work and determination, and I'm proud of the part that my department has played to date in working with others. For example, the technical capacity and expertise of the Agri-Food and Bioscience Institute is being used to scale up Northern Ireland's COVID-19 testing programme. AFBI, which is one of my department's NDPBs, together with the Queen's and Ulster universities, will undertake testing at its laboratories, and the programme of testing, which is scheduled to commence soon for an initial period of 12 weeks, has the capacity for 1,000 tests per day to be conducted. Until a few weeks ago, social distancing was a term not widely used, but it is now. In our sphere of influence, the challenges range from food processing to fishing vessels, from poultry to pork, from water quality to waste collection. So I'm pleased that officials have been working closely with industry, the Food Standards Agency, the Health and Safety Executive, and other public sector agencies to find ways to make it work for everyone, employees, customers and employers. And we can and will continue to protect our people by ensuring that they follow public health guidance. Maintaining our food supply is central to everyone's well-being. We feed up to 10 million people through our local agri-food industry. So protecting this food supply chain is vital. And DAERA is firmly focused on doing everything it can to protect this integrity and allow produce to move off farm and through it. We have prioritised essential services and staff to ensure the continued flow of food and feed. Veterinary teams are continuing to deliver essential food safety, official controls, providing veterinary certification for the export of both meat and dairy products. And I'm particularly glad or grateful to the dairy industry, working closely with our officials as we streamline our service provision. We have communicated to local companies and to Dairy UK to ensure all stakeholders are aware of revised processes. And while essential controls will continue, I have taken steps to pause most inspections, both on farm and off farm. I've also decided that in general bovine tuberculosis testing should not take place, and this is to protect the health of farm families and the testing veterinarians. Exceptionally, visits to carry out TB tests and some inspections may take place if they can be done safely in accordance with the social distancing and advice of the Public Health Agency. We continue to prioritise the prevention and detection of epizootic diseases through surveillance and testing at ports, airports, on farm and in meat plants. Routine bovine brucellosis sampling has been paused on farms and abattoirs. However, high-risk sampling will continue. We owe an immense debt of gratitude to everyone involved in our food supply chain. Food is being produced day in, day out, but cancelled orders due to the loss of food service and the hospitality sectors, significantly higher levels of consumer demand and fears about staff shortages have put unprecedented pressure on primary producers and processors. So we need to ensure that people are paid fairly for producing high quality local produce. That means supermarkets doing their bit, continuing to buy and sell excellent local produce produced by our farmers and primary producers. Commodity prices are extremely fragile, and we are already witnessing a softening in the market. As this continues, as I am sure it will, the UK Government will need to step up and provide the necessary support. I am therefore monitoring the situation closely to see what needs to be done and how it can be done, and importantly, working with UK ministerial colleagues. I have been meeting with the main local banks to ensure that they are doing all they can to assist farmers who are experiencing severe cash flow problems. It is vital that the banks step up to the plate at this time. I've also chaired meetings of the main dairy processors to help establish how our critical dairy sector can navigate through this crisis. As part of my ongoing engagement with the agri-food sector, I will be meeting again with the red meat sector later this week. As I have highlighted, markets are extremely fragile. We are already experiencing a significant fall in markets. And given this uncertainty, I have been proactive in the last 10 days. I've had regular discussions with ministers across the UK and indeed with Minister Creed in the Republic. These issues are not particular to Northern Ireland, UK or the EU, but globally. Hence the need to realise the significance of the support which will be required. We've never witnessed a crisis like this before. There are many reasons for a global decline in prices, one of the primary reasons has been the near collapse of the food service sector. And while some of the supply has been redirected to retail with an uplift in sales, unfortunately, hasn't been like for like. This is putting significant pressure on sales and reorientation of the types of products being sold. For example, retail has seen an unprecedented demand for mince, but not for steak, which would be a key product in restaurants. The high volumes of some products available in markets are also having an impact on prices. Export markets are also extremely sluggish, which is a key area for Northern Ireland produce, especially in sectors like lamb and dairy product sales. In relation to the lamb sector, I'm fully aware of the issues which are coming down the track when large numbers of spring lamb will be available on the market. This is something which I'll be monitoring extremely closely going forward. And issues about carcass imbalance are impacting on the red meat sector and lack of demand for fifth quarter products. The horticulture sector is facing significant difficulties already, and I've asked officials to scope what support we can give going forward. Our priority is to keep product moving off farms, and where we can't ensure that, to develop contingency plans and provide appropriate support to those farmers. In a meeting yesterday with retailers across the UK, I impressed the need for support to local farmers in their purchasing. I also received a commitment that they would put in place promotions to help address issues about carcass imbalance, especially for the red meat sector. There are particularly difficult market conditions facing the fishing industry, with the collapse in fish sales in the Far East, mainland Europe, and more recently domestic markets. Government initiatives such as the Job Retention Scheme and assistance for the self-employed will help the fish processing sector and ancillary fish businesses to keep their workers and put them in a better position to respond when markets for fish recover. My department has been closely engaging with the fishing representatives, and the £1.5 million support package which I announced last week is aimed at helping the sea fish catching sector weather the storm. The scheme is the most far-reaching in the UK and will help the fishing fleet to cover the fixed costs for 3 months. It's not an answer to everyone's problems, but it will certainly help the fleet survive, which has been through one of the most difficult periods. My department is also urgently gathering evidence from the aquaculture sector on the impact of COVID-19. A report on this is expected shortly, and the department will make a decision on what measures may be needed in relation to support once it has been fully considered this data. The decision taken by the Northern Ireland Livestock March to close for 2 weeks is a helpful intervention, and DAERA is working with the markets to ensure livestock movements can continue to be facilitated through a combination of APHIS online and telephony services. Markets are currently working to establish protocols which would allow a restricted opening in the near future. However, I must caution that only through sensible action will we deliver sustainable solutions. We're focused on keeping daily movements of food, feed and produce moving into and out of Northern Ireland. And in that context, some of the ferry companies have recently highlighted significant operational difficulties. This is deeply concerning, and my department is working with other departments, led by the Department for Infrastructure, to address this issue. Haulage and logistic companies are facing immense difficulties, such as the lack of return loads, loss of large volumes of business, and significant overheads. Farmers are vital to the people in the country, and it's imperative that they also follow the Public Health Agency advice and take all appropriate steps to look after their health. Farming unions are rightly concerned about their members and the implications which falling ill with COVID-19 would have for them, the welfare of their livestock and their ability to keep the business running. In conjunction with the Farmers Union, I have issued advice to farmers on how to deal with possible infection by COVID-19, and my department will continue to work with them and other departments to explore options to mitigate the possible impacts and safeguard animal welfare. For this reason, I've stopped all face-to-face services at DAERA Direct offices for the time being. Customers should conduct their business through DAERA online services, which is available 24 hours per day by telephone or by post. The online single application and entitlement service is operating as normal. An enhanced single application form advisory service is available to provide farmers with advice and digital assistance to help them complete and submit their SAF. The closing date for SAF remains unchanged. However, I have extended the deadline by which farmers can amend their applications from the 31st of May to the 9th of June. Farmers are encouraged to submit their applications as soon as possible and ahead of the closing date of the 15th of May. And in this way, we can ensure that our farmers receive accurate payments in October. Face-to-face delivery of all CAFRE programmes has also ceased. Education programmes are being delivered remotely to ensure that the academic year is completed and students achieve their qualifications. Although CAFRE open days have also been postponed, those interested in applying for CAFRE courses should apply online as normal. Delivery of existing outstanding projects under the Farm Business Improvement Scheme is continuing as far as practically possible. Processing of applications to Tranche 5 of the Business Development Group scheme and registration of the farmer growers are continuing remotely. CAFRE advisors are also available to assist farmers and food businesses with technical business and environmental advice to support them in this challenging time. Arrangements are being progressed to facilitate the use of CAFRE's residential facilities at Greenmount and Enniskillen campuses by the Department of Health as part of their contingency planning. CAFRE has also made available over 20,000 overalls and other personal protective equipment to the Health and Social Care Trusts. And despite Public Health Agency and government advice on social distancing, Deira's country parks and forest parks saw large numbers of the public continue to gather and visit sites in increased numbers, with many ignoring the advice given. Therefore, at the end of last month, I shut down vehicle access as far as possible to those forests and country parks and public fishing waters. I'm disappointed that I had to take that decision, particularly at a time when children are out of school and others were using the facilities for physical and mental health reasons. However, I felt I had no alternative and did so to help save lives, and these arrangements will be kept under review. This Easter, I would implore people to think safety, think about your friends, family and neighbours, and think about our health and care workers. Take your exercise locally and do not congregate in country and forest parks, beaches or other open spaces. There is an increased risk of social isolation for rural communities, which may be heightened due to restricted access to much-needed services. And my department is collaborating with colleagues in the Department for Communities, the Public Health Agency and local government to support a coordinated approach to assist the community and voluntary sector in this time of crisis. Deira officials have been assisting colleagues in DFC who are leading in the provision of food for vulnerable people, including delivery to the Shielded Group, which will be coordinated through local councils and starts on Wednesday the 8th of April, as well as the work underway to assist other vulnerable groups in society. We have provided all community and voluntary sector funded partners with the much needed flexibility to focus their resources in responding to the current challenge. The rural support networks support a network of over 1,500 rural community and voluntary sector organisations and are already involved in a number of initiatives such as engagement with food banks, drawing up lists of these groups who can offer help and seeking to identify people who will need help. We expect them to be at the forefront as part of Deira's response. Councils and other departments are also making use of their local knowledge. It is anticipated that they will play an important role in delivering measures under the Executive Community Fund and ensuring penetration to rural areas. We are working with DFI and DFC to ensure that the Deira Assisted Rural Travel Scheme can be utilised to assist the delivery of much-needed food and services to isolated rural dwellers, and with our health partners to ensure vulnerable rural households are contacted on a regular basis and their needs met. The Rural Support Charity stands ready to help those rural individuals in stress and will support them with whatever is needed in these challenging times. We have also provided emergency guidance and the ongoing support to administrative partners delivering LEADER and TRIPSY programmes. This includes easements to support payment to project applicants and the reallocation of Deira resource to process almost £2 million in payments to microbusiness and community organisations in the last 3 weeks. This money has never been more important in supporting the survival of organisations, staff and their families, and the communities they support. Deira is continuing to work with Northern Ireland Water, prioritising activities to help ensure that we continue to have access to safe drinking water. Essential staff continue to analyse water samples from key drinking water supplies. Responding to reports of water pollution remains a priority in order to help protect raw water supplies. The Drinking Water Inspectorate, DWI, has been working closely with NI Water, local councils and owners and users of private water supplies to ensure all necessary measures are in place to protect the public health. A task and finish group with membership from across the Northern Ireland Environment Agency has been established to identify issues which might arise due to an increase in burials. The group will produce advice and guidance on how best to mitigate against these. The links into the DOJ Pandemic Working Group. It is important to recognise that waste workers are one of our essential services, covering all those involved in managing waste, whether collection, transportation, treatment or disposal. DAER's priority is to maintain the fullest range of council waste services as possible, including recycling, which supplies the waste industry and contributes to the packaging sector. Recycling material from much of the commercial sector is no longer available. At present, all 11 councils are maintaining curbside collections, though the majority of councils' household waste recycling centres are closed. DAERA has established a COVID-19 waste group, and regular meetings are taking place with local councils and the private waste sector to capture their concerns and discuss contingency plans. The Strategic Investment Board is involved in attempting to match up capacity and resource pressures across the sector, and we're working with delivery partners in key messaging, and the Waste Industry Safety and Health Forum has issued guidance to maintain services and observe social distancing. A range of COVID-19 regulatory position statements has been prepared by NIEA to ensure pragmatism and flexibility in the waste sector, for example on authorised waste facilities and temporary variation of licence permit conditions. With the reduction in legitimate waste services and increased waste arising, there is more risk of illegal dumping and fly tipping. I would urge people not to indulge in irresponsible behaviour, which can have such a damaging effect on public health, and the Department is working closely with local councils on this matter. All our advice is kept under review and, where necessary, updated. This is to ensure public health is protected and risks to drinking water quality and waste services are minimised. Finally, the reduction in single-use carrier bags is hugely important, but there is a need to show flexibility in these unprecedented times. Carrier bags for home deliveries reduce the need for drivers to enter houses. The use of these bags also speeds up home deliveries. My department has therefore made the single-use carrier bags charge Coronavirus Amendment Regulations Northern Ireland 2020, which have the effect of meaning that for 6 months the requirement to charge for a carrier bag does not apply to bags used for home delivery as part of a grocery delivery service. The regulations come into operation the 1st of April 2020. In conclusion, Mr. Principal Deputy Speaker, in closing, it's worth again reflecting on the huge efforts underway to mitigate the impacts of this pandemic. Today I am calling on the public to support those efforts, to follow PHA advice and to take all of the necessary precautions to mitigate against the worst effects. We have had to deliver at pace, take rapid decisions and act quickly to protect our people, our economy and our environment. Not all of these decisions will be perfect. We'll need to acknowledge that now, but they have been made with the best intentions and a strong desire to play our part in meeting the challenges we are all facing. We will continue to review and adapt our actions in line with government advice as more information becomes available. This crisis has brought the interconnectedness of our economy, environment and people into sharp focus. DAERA will continue to play its full part in the Northern Ireland response effort to COVID-19, supporting our people and business and leading them through these difficult times. Through continued cooperation and collaboration and by supporting each other, we will get through this. And while it is critical that we focus on the here and now, it is also important that we look ahead to the future with optimism and plan for recovery. I know that the Northern Ireland Executive, my department, will have an important role to play, and we have already started to develop proposals to support the recovery of our economy, environment and people. These proposals will focus on the traditional values of hard work, thrift, using our resources to their best effect, and self-reliance, valuing our local environment and economy. And I look forward to sharing these proposals with people over the coming months. Thank you, and can I ask that each of you and your families take care of yourselves, your neighbours and each other.